Welcome to Small Biz Life, episode 116, Surviving and Thriving During the Holidays.
Does this sound familiar?
Oh my God, I have so much to do today.
Don't forget to breathe.
But I have almost 400 emails in my inbox and 30 phone calls to make.
Have you looked into getting a virtual assistant yet?
Oh, and I need to schedule all my social media posts.
Did you drink anything today?
I had coffee.
Did you eat today?
Did I mention coffee's a bean?
This is Small Biz Life.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Small Biz Life. My name is Kristin Ingram.
And I'm Jeffrey W. Ingram.
We're a husband and wife team of small business owners who are here to help you cut the crap out of your small business so that you can spend more time doing what you love.
Just cut that crap out. Just got it.
Boom. Done. So we're here because I'm a CPA.
And I'm an IT professional.
And so combined, we have 30 years of experience working with small businesses, owning small businesses. And so this is something that we're really passionate about. Yeah. So, it's interesting because in the Facebook group, I asked people if the holidays were a busy period or a slow period for their business. And it was interesting. It was about 50-50. Between the two. We actually got a lot of responses on that in the Facebook group, which if you're not a member, you can go to facebook.com/groups/smallbizlife and join the conversation. Because a lot of times, we'll ask questions in there. People are posting their own questions. They're looking for feedback, looking for help. It's a great community.
Yeah.
And we have over 400 members in there now, which is pretty exciting. So, the reason I wanted to know that so that way we could kind of gear this episode, because if it really skewed one way or the other, I wanted to spend more time, for those businesses, because we're really going to talk about what busy businesses should do, what slow businesses should do, and then kind of talk about some things that are applicable to both.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, especially for people who have their peak season, their busiest time of the year around the holidays, it's easy to forget just because you keep hearing on the news how everyone's about how busy everyone is. The assumption is everyone is busier this time of year, and that's just not true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least business-wise. I mean, I clearly think
life-wise, we're all more busy.
Yes, life-wise, we're all more busy. And in our lives, we're expecting a baby, and so we're kind of actually, I think, toning things down a little bit. So Thanksgiving is going to be more quiet. Christmas is going to be, more quiet. And we're just kind of like, okay, when is the baby coming?
Especially like Christmas and New Year's are going to be the most quiet year we've had in that stretch in a long time.
Yeah, because a lot of times we actually travel between Christmas and New Year, and we're not doing that this year since Eric is coming. So, okay, so let's kind of talk about busy businesses first.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, I mean, this is... you're listening to this at the beginning of December, so hopefully you got yourself organized before the rush began, right? Yeah. Because if this is your busy season, you're in the heat of it already.
Yeah. And we're not really dealing specifically with that. Great episode 67, Thriving Through Peak Season. If you're just getting going and you're starting to feel the stress, it's never too late to start.
Right, exactly.
Well, until about next week.
Yeah, which is actually, it's interesting because we're recording this episode about a month before it's going to come out, and we noticed that FedEx is already using rental trucks.
Yes, and that's always a telltale sign. I remember I worked at UPS years ago, and there's always this thing on the timing of renting trucks. And if you rent trucks, this is also a busy time for you because all the transportation companies and everyone who does deliveries are renting more trucks because they can't afford the trucks year round, but they need a lot more right now. And so,
but that's early to be renting trucks.
Yeah, and it was always a game of how late can you wait. And sometimes there was a fear that they might not be there if you wait too long. And there's so many more players in that industry now. Maybe that's why we're seeing it earlier. I don't know. But we're recording this in early, or I guess mid-November. And it's all ready.
Yep. So I know some of you are already in full gear. If you've got some time, especially like if you're kind of feeling discombobulated or if you don't think things are going as smoothly as you would like them to, take 20 to 30 minutes. And I know that seems like really crazy impossible because it's so busy, but try to think about like what is working, what is not working. Maybe think back to like last year. Was there anything that worked really well last year? Because here's the thing, if you don't change anything about your processes, it's never going to get better.
No. And, where it sounds crazy, when you're the busiest is actually the easiest time to make, especially like minor shifts in what you're doing just to see the effect. Because sometimes if you change a system, something that you do monthly normally, it's really hard to judge whether or not there's any benefit. But now it can be, if you're doing it like once a day or once a week, it's so much more frequent that you can actually see if there's an effect because you actually really learn the changes very quickly because you're repeating activities over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. And I know this is really hard. I worked retail during the holidays, and I know we have a busy season with the accounting firm. You need to try to stay organized during the rush. And I know that this is hard because you're tired. However, any little thing seems more, explosive, more stressful when everything is out of order.
Yeah.
And so if you can take time, a couple times a day to make sure that, if you've got retail that's organized, if you're shipping stuff out of your home, make sure that that is organized. Keep your computer files organized, keep your paper files organized, because the more you let that stuff pile up, it's just going to be more stress at the end of the season.
And we're big fans of planning. And the reason is so we can have an idea of what we're getting up to so we can prepare for getting that done. And the thing people don't realize is if you take some time to plan out what you're doing and to organize what you're doing, what happens is it takes a longer period of time before you get tired, which causes a stress because ultimately in most peak seasons for most businesses, if things are going good, there's going to be a point that is going to just be, I'm just trying to survive. And hopefully you have to go through that pain in your business, but you delay getting there and you spend less time there if you stay organized the best you can the whole way, and with good planning will help you stay organized a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. And one way that you can kind of help stay organized, reduce your stress levels, hire some help. And I know that a lot of people are kind of reluctant because it's such a short window, but a lot of college students are typically home the first or second week of December. So if you really need somebody to help you get through like that last 3 weeks, to help you get through like, till Christmas and then maybe the week after because of all the returns and everything that you experience, college students are great for that because they have to go back to school.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times they're looking for some quick money while they're home.
And it always blew my mind too. UPS, once again, much like with the rental cars, always tried to delay hiring on seasonal help, whether they're going out on the road or whether they're working the facility checking packages. And sometimes, up until like, mid-December, you can typically still hire people.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There are people out there.
For strictly seasonal work.
Right. And the thing is, too, you've got people that they just want to make some extra money, for the holidays.
They want the extra present for their kid, or they wanted an extra present for themselves, maybe. Who knows why? But lots of people are looking for extra money that time of year and are willing to take seasonal. It would be a bad time to probably hire someone for a non-seasonable job in a field that's really busy. But for seasonable work, it's a great time to hire.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you have existing staff, make sure that they are all cross-trained. One of like the most interesting things I've heard in business, there's a company called Drake Software, and they do my tax software. They also own 1040.com, which I know some of you are using to do your own taxes, if your businesses aren't complicated. And they have cross-trained all of their employees in their software so that when I call in for tech support, I always have a live person answer the phone.
Yeah, especially in the software industry, talk about a differentiator.
Now, and it's interesting because this is the fourth software company that I've worked with for tax software over the last 16 years. And I mean, I've wasted hours of my life waiting on hold during tax season to get a tech support person. Every time I call Drake, a live person answers the phone.
And it's really a rough season for them, too, because a lot of times because of the way Congress waits the last minute and puts things off, there's always fixes and things that come out. And sometimes it's February before everything is really out. And then if there's a bug in it and it starts to come out, it's a nightmare scenario from a development sequence of wanting to have a development cycle that works that way. But it's just the way it is.
But I've talked to their CEO, and he's even trained. So it will ring through tech support, and then it rings through their salespeople, and then it goes all the way up the chain to the CEO of the company. And everyone's first priority during tax season is to answer the phone. And I think that that's amazing. You know, and some of you might think, well, that's not good use of money because the CEO is answering the phone. But I will tell you, unless something catastrophic happens with this company, I am never leaving this company. Because the value to me to not wait on hold to get somebody on the phone is worth what I pay for the software. So make sure that people are cross-trained, because if somebody calls out sick or somebody can't do a job or somebody's busy, you want to make sure that your other staff can jump in to help.
I mean, especially when you have that long-term employee who's invaluable to you. You know, you own a store and they're kind of like the right-hand person in the store because they've been there so long. Sooner or later, those people do leave. And, you know, and it might not even be from their will or desire, but nothing can be worse than having someone who's become so invaluable that maybe you're not great at what some of the things they do anymore. And now, especially if you lose them quickly or unexpectedly, that can crush you. And if it happens at this time of year when things are more stressful, you're at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, and I think, you know, even in our accounting, even in my accounting firm, like I'm teaching Jeff how to use the tax software so that he can enter certain things in for me. You know, he knows how to package up a tax return and how to get it all ready to go. That frees up my time to meet with clients and to deal with phone calls, you know, that have to do with like needing tax expertise. And we've even talked about having Jeff become an enrolled agent, so that he builds up a little bit more of the tax knowledge, you know, and is certified to be able to do taxes. So, you know, that's the thing. It's like, think about how can you cross-train people in your business and give them skills to help make it easier for you.
I've already enrolled Eric in a course for that. So.
Oh, really? Okay, that's good. Yeah, we'll have the baby doing tax returns. So if you're a client, you know, you might have the baby do your tax return. But I mean,
if you call in and someone cries, just understand it's probably the newborn.
Yeah, it's probably Eric. So cross-training, super important. That's something you want to make sure that you do. Okay. So now, for those of you that are sitting there going, well, this is a slow time for me. You know, this isn't my busy season. In fact, I know like a lot of you are actually complaining that your business kind of like dies off right now.
Because all the money gets sucked into retail.
Right, exactly. So here's the thing. This is a great time to plan, okay? Because typically what I find is that people whose businesses are slow in December are the types of businesses that can be really busy in January. If you are doing anything with personal development, anything with weight loss, self-improvement, you know, anything to make people like, I call this the resolution space, right? If you are in the resolution space, which means somebody is making a resolution regarding what you do.
I want to learn how to play a musical instrument. I mean, it could be.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, because this is the time when people want to improve themselves, right? So it's time, you know, your time to plan is right now because things are going to slow down for you.
Actually, if you're doing things right, you're actually in the midst of starting to build up towards a launch you'll be having for a new product, or trying to launch to get more clients for your service in January.
That's coming.
Sorry.
I'm building up to that. And that's the thing. And that's hopefully some of you are planning for that launch in January. Okay. This is a big retail season. I want you to think about how can you giftify your product or service. And what I mean by that is how can you turn your product or service into something that people can gift to themselves or other people? Because remember, we just said January is, that's resolution time. So how can you get people to buy during the holiday season? Because I think a lot of us, we sit there and we go, oh, well, the service side is slow, right? Nobody's booking appointments. I know Melissa from Melissa the Coach had said, not people don't want to meet with their financial advisor right now, but I really wish I could find a way to get them to do it. Here's the thing. You want to package up your services so that people will buy them to use them in January. If
you're the only way to deliver your knowledge to clients, you have no plan to scale, and you're going to struggle to ever break through into a thriving business because you're always limited by your time.
Right. And that's why, a lot of the products that we develop for Small Biz Life, that's work that we've done with clients one-on-one that I said, you know what, we only have so much time. How can we scale this out? And so we'll create mini courses, we'll create, memberships so that people can, get the knowledge we have without having to pay for individual sessions with us, and B, to free up our time.
And to not have to wait for us.
Right, exactly. So, this is a really good time for you to start thinking about how can I package up my knowledge so that I am no longer trading time for money, right? And this is a big thing that I'm working on with a lot of my clients. How do we get away from billable time? How do we create knowledge that you don't have to be there to deliver?
And when you're used to doing that, it's tough. I was just working with someone, very clever person, who was coming up finally with some ways to scale out some of their knowledge. And then I'm talking to them and about putting a sales process together, and they had upsells of their time, like a one-on-one their time. And I was like, there's nothing wrong with selling your time one-on-one if you want to do that, but you can't scale that. So if you have a product that you scale and then your upsell is something that you can't scale, that doesn't work. And so then we had to re-strategize. How can we actually have an upsell that's similar to it, but not one-on-one time?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the thing. So this is a really good time. And I know, throughout the year, we're kind of like, oh, wouldn't it be great if, I came up with this? If this is your slow time, this is the time you need to do that.
Yes, and I know you're sitting there going, but I work so hard on my busy time, I need some time to relax. We're not saying you have to kill yourself to do it, but, take some Post-it notes in an hour in the afternoon, go to a blank wall, and you'll be shocked how much you can plan out in an hour.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And here's the thing, I know some of you are very overwhelmed with the idea of like building a course, right? Or building something out. And we should do an episode. I don't think we've ever done an episode on building a course. When you're building a course, the first thing you need to do is sell the course. And I think most people have that backwards, where they think about, oh, well, I'm going to build my course and then sell it. No, don't do that. Okay. You want to do it the other way around. And that, I think, takes pressure off of you during the slow time, right? Because really what you're building is you're building a sales funnel. And we've done episodes on sales funnels before. You want to get your sales process down. So planning, okay, thinking about sales, okay, because that's the thing. People may not want your service right now to use it, but it doesn't mean you can't sell it to them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's really important.
Or better yet, can you target their loved ones to buy the service or product from you now because they know the other person wants it?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you need, an avatar's spouse.
Yep, absolutely. So, and the thing you want to do too, because, typically if now's your slow period, then January is going to be really busy for you, is take some time off. We can't go forever. I know a lot of you are running. One of your plans for the new year needs to be to figure out how to take some time off.
There's another thing too. If you can relax a little bit right before your busy season, I'm not saying you can't work at all, but if you have a little bit simpler days, you can then be at peak condition when you start your busy season.
And it's amazing, just like as our personal story. So before Jeff left his job to come work for Ingram Digital Media full time, we were working 7 days a week, and it was insane crazy around here.
And like for many of you side hustlers, you'll understand the rhythm, right? Come home, work, maybe work a little bit, maybe eat depending on the day, and then either work or eat after that.
Yeah, and then you're working on the weekends, and you're trying to fit in chores, and if you're like us, your house is probably a mess. We have dust bunnies that are rivaling the size of the cats. It was crazy, and we were really stressed out.
I was petting a dust bunny for over 3 hours one day, and then the cat walked up, and I'm like, oh wow. Oh, this is a dust bunny. My goodness.
Yeah. Okay. That could happen. Really. So one of the things that that I said that I really wanted to come from this is I wanted our weekends back. And like we finally got to the point that I think we've gotten caught up enough, and we feel like we're in a place where, like, last weekend I don't think I worked at all. I might have responded to a couple emails, but I think that was the extent of it. And like, I've been really good, like Saturdays, taking Saturdays off. Some Sundays we were doing some stuff for the podcast, but like we're at the point where we're not working on the weekends. Yeah,
we do our planning on Sundays normally,
but that takes 30 minutes.
Yeah. That I don't really consider that work either. It's for work, but it's also for life, because sometimes there's non-life stuff that gets put in there too.
But it feels so much better.
Yeah.
Like to be able to take that time. And I notice that when we do that, we are much more productive during the week.
Yeah. Not complaining. I'm just stating the fact.
Oh yeah. No, I'm trying to convince the listeners, if you go all the time, you are going to lose productivity.
That's why I have this hatred for burning out, because that was a problem I was in for years, because I could get going and it was amazing. Like I could work lots of hours, for several weeks in a row. And then it would get to a point where I would just come home and be like, no. And the problem is, and when you have two of you doing it, if one of you does it, the other one's like, yeah, I'm not nothing either. And you know what? The dust bunny still grows to the size of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Because you're still not doing that either. Because at that point, you're just like, I'm burned out. I can't do anything. And I get it. I understand that feeling. I was in that burnout cycle all the time, and that's the reason why it's very important. Because I started really trying to break it in March when I started doing this. But, it's not been perfect. But the further away I get, the more times I practice at doing things the correct way, the better I get at doing them. And if you look at the way I structure my life now, I get a lot more done in a lot less time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And can we put a link to the burnout episode in these show notes? We'll do that. So if you haven't listened to the episode on avoiding burnout, we will make sure that we get that in the links for you. Because I think that was a really good episode. We did a lot of research on that one. So, okay. So for you guys, that's your slow time. You're going to get some planning done, right? You're going to turn to sales, right? And try to gear up your sales this month. And then you're going to take some time off. And here's the thing. It's kind of like Christmas. It comes at the same time every year. So does your slow period. And I think a lot of small businesses were going, and then we go, oh, crap. Because the finances turn off, right? So the money stops coming in, business gets slow, but you still have all your bills coming in.
And like last year, the 5 years before that, you forgot.
So, what you should be coming up with as part of your planning is how are you going to build up the reserves you need so that you can get through the slow time and still pay yourself.
Or a great way to do networking is if you know someone in the business world around you, someone you've met in your networking who has a busy time and you don't, and maybe you don't like to be that slow, do something part-time for them. Helps them out tremendously. They get probably a lot better value than what they have to pay, especially like if you're doing like a cashier kind of job for them. And, it's a way to build relationships too.
Well, and the thing is too, is like, I think like, talking to a lot of like virtual assistants, they're like, oh my God, it's so slow right now. Well, I would be looking for those businesses that are really busy right now and saying, hey, do you need some help with your social media for the next 4 weeks?
Yes. Last month would have been the best time to do it. Like, as you approach someone's peak seasons, when you want to hit them, you need to know you need to know your avatar, know when they're busy, because right before they're busy is when you're pushing your sales the hardest. You should be launching new products or doing what it takes at that point to get the business in, because especially the closer they get to that point where they're burned out, they're just not even looking at your emails. They don't care what you have to say, no matter how much they love you the rest of the year.
But you might, if somebody is super active on social and you notice it's dying off because of the holidays, I would reach out to them and just say, hey, listen, your stuff is great, but I notice you're not posting. This is what I do. How can I help you?
Might be an opportunity.
It might be an opportunity to get in there. I wouldn't pitch this to people you don't know, but if you've been building relationships, but you've never been able to close a deal, this might be a good opportunity to say, what, I'd love to help you for the next couple weeks to help you get through the holidays, and it's revenue for you and it's helping them. And who knows, you might end up being able to turn that into that deal that you finally close.
Yeah.
So kind of keep that in mind. Okay. So let's talk about some things that both businesses, both busy businesses and slow businesses should be thinking about. Now I know that this might be kind of controversial, but I think that you should embrace the holidays with holiday themed posts.
Especially Easter.
Oh, I was like, why Easter? Oh yeah. So, and we'll put a link to this in as well, because this is craziness. There's a holiday in Greece that goes back to...
They don't know.
They don't even know how long this is. But it's this town or the island in Greece where there are two rival churches, and they shoot off...
They simulate a war by firing rockets at each other's steeples.
Well, it's not rockets anymore. They're fireworks.
You call them what you will, honey.
Okay. So, but what they're doing is they fire off all of these fireworks at each other.
Like 60,000.
But it's funny because like they don't know why. They just know that it's something that's been happening forever.
Well, it's so funny too, because like I think in the 1800s, the Ottomans were afraid the Greeks are going to rebel, so they took all the weapons off the island, so they stopped doing this practice. But after the Ottomans got kicked out and Greece was independent again, they just started doing it again. It's like they did not forget. It's very important, and that is a good holiday.
Yes.
Rocket War Day.
But it's something that they do on this island in Greece every Easter. And it's the funkiest holiday I've ever heard of. But I mean, here's the thing, you kind of want to show people that, you're putting up fresh content, you're putting up new content, even if it's taking your products and putting, a holiday theme around them, right? Because that's the thing, is like people are in holiday mode. And so if you remind them that your product, is also part of the holiday spirit, even if traditionally it's not, you wouldn't think of that. That's a great way, to drum up more business.
Yes. And there are several holidays in December. And she's definitely not saying, ignore holidays. It doesn't have to just be Christmas, but Christmas is one of them. There are several ones, take advantage by reaching out to people who celebrate those holidays. It gives you a chance to start conversations.
Right.
It might just be a first touch, but you have to start somewhere.
That's right. Think Hanukkah, think Kwanzaa, because that's the thing is like, it doesn't just have to be Christmas. And I know that's like the big one that's out there. But you have a real opportunity to grow your market by researching other groups' holidays and, branching out in those directions as well. Don't forget, and we kind of talked this a little bit, stay connected with your audience. I think a lot of times we kind of forget, I still need folks, right? Whether you're really slow or whether you're really busy. You can pre-schedule all of your content. If you want to do it directly through Facebook, you can schedule in your Facebook groups or your Facebook pages. You can use something like Recur Post, to keep that content going out. If you want to pre-write all of your emails to go out, you can do that as well and schedule all that. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I got to drop everything because I got to post something.
No, you don't want to do that. But the thing is, you do want it out there because, there are a lot of people like me who, and as it gets hectic and you've gone to 45 different Christmas parties, you're in the car, you're going through your Facebook feed.
Yep. And so it's still really important that, you are staying connected with your audience, that you're running Facebook ads. And I know you might say, oh, well, I'm already really busy, but what if you could get 10% more customers? What if it's a slow period for you and you don't have any new customers right now? Keep staying in front of people. It's super important. Make sure that you stand out in the crowd because there is a lot more advertising out there. I'm actually starting to get emails already. Now, mind you, we're recording this on November 7th. I'm getting Black Friday flyers in my email already. It's starting early and earlier and earlier.
I got one last June on my birthday. Don't forget about Black Friday. I'm like, okay.
Well, a lot of companies, though, are doing like a Black Friday in July. It's kind of the Christmas in July kind of thing. So what can you do to make yourself stand out? And I think sometimes, focusing on other holidays, which nobody else is doing, is one way that you can stand out.
And I also think too, having different approaches, because a lot of places are about lines and showing that, the doorbuster sales. Is there a way, especially if you're retail, to make it a more of a service relationship where, we know it's hectic, we know you're busy, come in at from this time to this time, you'll get exquisite service. We're not about trying to service everyone in the world. We'll give you the best service ever this Christmas season.
Yeah, I've seen retail where, let's say that on Sundays they normally close at 6, but just for their email list, they'll stay open 2 hours later. And they email their email list and say, hey, we're not telling anybody but you guys. You can shop for 2 extra hours just because you're on my email list. So come on in. It won't be as busy. We're going to have warm, hot cider and donuts but come on in and spend some time with us. So I think that's an awesome way to stand out from the crowd. So if you typically have a holiday party, have it after the holidays are over. There are so many holiday parties going on right now. And I think a lot of us think like, well, it's only ours, right? And people just need to go to ours. As an accountant, I get invited to a lot of holiday parties. And it sometimes gets overwhelming how many parties you have to go to. And so, I remember when Jeff worked for UPS, there was one year that they had their holiday party in March.
Yeah, so this was the Christmas party. It was a really bad peak season, a lot of bad weather. Just one of those. I think there were 2 big nor'easters that came through New England during the process. I think it was the Thursday evening before Christmas Eve. There was a massive storm in Louisville, which is where a lot of packages ship from for UPS. And we were literally told when we went in that we were on call for Christmas Day to go out. And Kristin was livid. And, of course, I wasn't really too pleased about having to, the thought of that either. But it was just a horrible, horrible peak season. And no one even really planned it. Typically there was one right around the end, but right like the week after typically. But this one was like March. Mm-hmm. And I think
it was St. Patrick's Day.
It was around St. Patrick's Day, and they just called it a holiday party that year. But which was fine. I really don't care what people call them, but it was funny.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, it's funny because we go from like incredibly busy, super stressed out, lots to do, lots of events, to like January's dead for most people, right?
Usually at least the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, the first 2 weeks of January are typically very slow. So maybe have it in January. Plus it's much easier to book facilities. It's much easier to get reservations.
Catering's cheaper.
Right. So that's the thing. It's like, take advantage of that. And most people go, oh, that's really cool, and have like a winter party instead. Okay. So that's kind of an idea. And then, make sure that you show your customers and your employees how much you appreciate them. I think that that's critically important. When we get super busy or we get super slow, we kind of forget, right? We forget our employees. We forget our vendors. We forget our customers. Take the time to let them know that you appreciate them. I think that it's critically important. It shows really goodwill.
It's a nice finishing touch.
Yeah, exactly. There's lots of different ways that you can do that. For your employees, you can do bonuses, you can do small gifts, and sometimes it's just like sitting down with your employees and saying, I just want you to know how much you mean to this company, right? And how important you are to this business. For your customers, make sure you reach out to them in one way or another, to let them know, how much they mean to you. You can do small gifts if you'd like. It really depends on your budget and what you're able to do. I recommend, if you don't really have a big budget and you're going to send out like holiday cards, hand sign them. Don't do the printed signatures, because if that's like the thing that you're going to do to show them that you appreciate them, write a little note, for for the customers that really mean something to you. Because it means something to them that you took the time to do that. Okay. So listen, remember that during the holidays, you have to keep your sanity, whether you're busy or whether your business is slow. It's very important to keep your sanity. And it's also, remember that give it some perspective. If you're really busy or you're really slow, remember that this is just a period of time within your business, right? It's typically about a month, no matter if you're busy or you're slow.
And there's different levels of busyness in that time too.
But that's the thing. Just remember that it's just a season. Take advantage of the season. If you're busy, get as busy as you can get.
Be thankful for it.
Exactly. If it's slow, be thankful that you've got the time off. But either way, be thankful for the position that you're in. So thank you so much. And we want you to know that we are grateful for you. Especially those of you that have listened to 116 episodes of this show. Thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.
This was Small Biz Life.